This first video is about finding the key in the music you're working on, whether it's a song you've found on the internet, or maybe you're recording vocals, or you've written music yourself, or who knows, whatever reason. But you need to be able to find and understand what key you're playing in. If it's major or minor, or one of the various modes, or maybe the song's a little bit out of tune. And this isn't about a quick trick or techniques. I mean, if you're here watching this video, you have some aspiration to be a producer, and you really got to develop your ear. You really must develop your hearing. You must be able to listen to a piece of music and find out what key it's in. And you got to be right. You can't be any mistakes. You can't be wondering if you're right or wrong. You just be certain this is the key. This is how I should set my autotuner. So I'm going to teach you different ways and different things you can do to learn and practice and eventually become perfect at it and what you need to be. So yeah, maybe sure you can go online and download and figure out what key that the song you're playing is online, but in the end, that's not what you want. You want to be able to do it yourself, and you want to be able to do it right, and you want to be able to do it quickly as well. So understanding what key you're in and how to use it and how to set your settings in your autotuner programs. And let's face it, you need to use the autotuner all the time. So being effective with that and being quick and efficient and being correct and putting good settings is really important. And it's not just going to be useful for you, it's going to impress your clients and useful for whatever situation. So, this video has a lot of good information, and I hope you'll learn a lot. So, please like our video, please subscribe to our channel, and here we go. When to do this kind of work, I really believe that that everybody who's interested in this kind of thing should try to understand as much as possible. And when it comes to understanding the keys and how to find keys, what your music is in, that's really a major part of what music is all about. So yourself, you should try to understand what you can. Having said that, I'm going to start off with a tiny bit of theory. Not everything is extremely important to be able to figure out what keys and how to set your auto-tuning perfectly. You can go on Wikipedia and find out what key some of the songs you're working on is in. But that's not always going to work out for you. And again, it's kind of slow, and it's also a not very educated way of doing it. But for now, what you should at least kind of know is, what we're trying to figure out is what key a song's in. So what is even a key in the first place? It's a set of musical notes that are grouped together for some purpose. Typically, you'll find keys are major keys. And the key signature is the sharps and flats that are used combined with the white notes to make a key. So one way you could think about it is a group of notes that, if played in sequence, you're going to get something that sounds like the do re mi scale. That is the C key. I'm starting here on C, and C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, these black notes are sharps and flats. I didn't play any to make this scale. So my key, for example, this is called the key of C. So the key signature is no sharps and no flats. There's still a key signature, it just has no sharps and flats in it, so nothing in it. And it's also kind of our goal. At the end of this lesson, it would be nice if we could be able to play a do re mi scale over top of the pieces of music, and it sounds good. That's kind of what our eventual goal is. The major key sounds like the do re mi fa so, and it doesn't have to be in C. D, if I play D, I have to sing and play D, E, and then F sharp, D, E, C sharp, and D. So now this key signature for D has an F sharp and a C sharp in it. But you don't need to really know what sharps and flats exist in a key in order to find the key for music and get down to the work you want to do and use your auto-tuner or something like that. I'm just letting you know right now. The other thing is the relative minor. You really just need to know that, for now anyways, that something called the relative minor exists. There's a major and a minor. So the minor of C is 3 semitones below the C. A semitone is the smallest distance between two notes. So we're just going to move down. So now if I play from this note, which is the A, to this A, using all white notes, so staying in the key of C. Now I have the minor key that corresponds to the C key. It's called A minor. They're relative to each other because they both share the same key signature, which is no sharps and no flats. If C major has the same key signature as A minor. G major shares the same key signature as E minor. B flat major shares the same key signature as G minor. Okay? When we're listening to our music and trying to find out what key it's in, there's an amount of practice that needs to be done. You do need to listen, and you do need to try to listen hard and find out what you believe the root note of the song is. The root note is, you could say it's one note that seems to fit and work everywhere in the song. It's the one note you might naturally want to hum when you hear the song. I've heard somebody say that before. I don't fully agree with that. It's very, very easy to hum the wrong note. It's the root note of the key signature. It's the root note of the scale that pertains to the song. So if you find the correct root note, you should be able to play a scale over top of it and it sound right. So the first song we're going to work with here is this one, Titanium. And after we work out a bit, we're just going to go on YouTube and look for a whole bunch of different song examples and try them out quickly. Honestly, I haven't even tried figuring out what key this is yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to start playing the piano. And try to find out what the root note is. So if we're playing it around, and as I'm ascending here, it seems like the notes that best fit are the C and the E flat. Okay, so what are you going to do with that? Well, I kind of already told you, if you just think about it, that a relative minor is 3 semitones down from a major. So you could say this song is in C minor. How do you know that? Well, if this note works, and this situation is really only going to happen that way. So the song could be in E flat major. And one thing you can do is you can check. You can play the E flat. Just say, okay, you heard this note as being the most dominant note through the song. You could count up 4 semitones. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So from here, from this E flat, you could count up 4 semitones. That's called an interval. And this is really what we're going to be looking for, listening for. We're going to listen for our root note and 4 semitones up and see if they both work. And we're going to check our root note and 3 semitones up and see if they both work. One of them will work and one of them won't work. So in this case, 1, 2. So we're playing our E flat and our G. They both work. We're just going to test the E flat and the G flat. The G flat doesn't sound good at all, and it won't. It's either this one's going to sound good or this one's going to sound good. If this one sounds good, the 4 semitones up, then it's a major. If it's 3 semitones up, then this is minor. but it's not in this case because it sounds bad. So we're gonna listen to this one. So E flat, the G, then it's E flat major is our scale. We can check. Here's our minor, 3 semitones down. C minor, it also works, and then of course 3 semitones up from C minor is our E flat. So you can pick either C minor or E flat major. These both have the same key. So when we pick our Autotuner, let's see if we can fix this up a bit. So we're gonna just throw on our Autotuner, our Antares Autotuner. Put some plug in, some compression a bit. Okay, and now we've already said it's E flat major, and let's just hear how it sounds. It's a girl, so we want a soprano. You can see it kind of working. Let's put it at maximum retune speed so you can really check. Of course, we don't really want it that far. You will see that the E flat major has these notes in it: C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and B flat. I told you before that this song could also be C minor. Well, let's see. We have 3 flats, which are E flat, A flat, and B flat. So if I put this on C minor, it's going to be the same thing: C, D, E flat, A flat, and B flat. So either will work. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one of these two you pick. There is a difference theoretically, but as far as Antares Autotune is concerned, there's absolutely no difference between picking E flat major or C minor. Okay, so now let's just, well, we had another song here. The singer doesn't want me to use her vocals in my YouTube video, even though they're pretty good. But here's one here. Let's just take a listen. So let's figure out what key this is in. So I'm just going to play around for a moment on my keyboard. And the way I do it is I approach in semitones. You can find it quickly, and don't bang around on one semitone too much. You can just basically hear yourself climb to it or fall to it. So I ended up with a B flat. Okay, so now we're gonna check 4 semitones up. 1, 2, 3. Yes, the D seems to work. B flat and D works, meaning it's a major. Let's check our 3 semitones up. That obviously doesn't work. So it's not B flat minor. The key is B flat major. Okay. Let's just load up some songs here on YouTube for a moment. It really could be anything. 40s. Okay.
Call it a mom's adoration. Foundation, a special bond of creation. Ha! For all the single moms out there going through frustration, clean bandit, child
check our 4 semitones up. 1, 2, 3. Sounds good. Not good. So because it's 4 semitones up, it's C and then major. C minor, no. So this song's in C major. Try something else. Let's try Ed Sheeran. This one might be good because okay, here's a hint. Here's a trick for you. So we just talked about common sense things, but here's a trick. Also common sense, I guess, but I'm playing all these white notes, right? So just say I try my scale in C major, and it doesn't work, okay? And it sounds terrible. Almost no note sounds good. Well, guess what? If no note sounds good, if you move up to a D and do the same thing, it's still not going to sound good. And if you move up to an F and still do the same thing, it's not going to sound good. If it doesn't sound good on these white notes, guess what? Don't use them. It's a black note. So then in any case, then we're certain it's a black note. I'm just going to play. When I was on the C, I could pretty much hear it was one semitone up. So now we'll see. Here's our root note. Let's figure out if it's we'll go 4 semitones. 1, 2. No. So it's definitely not C sharp major. I'm gonna try 3 semitones up. Yeah. That kind of works. So there we go. It's C sharp minor. That's what key this one's in. Let's try something else. Okay. D. Let's count up 4. 1, 2, 3. D and F sharp. Works. Let's try D and F. Nope. So D and F sharp. D major. In a major key, 1 semitone down from the root note also is in it. Then you can double check too if you want to just check a D. The semitone below is your major 7th interval. That also works. So ultimately you want to be able to play the scale. So if I play the D major scale, starting from D, ending on D over this, it should work, and it does. So how can you find out any scale? Okay, well, the order of scale in any key it is always like this. Tone, yay. The major scale in any key is separated like this. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone, tones. You'll find this out pretty quickly if you start studying any theory. This is very important. Tone is the distance between 2 notes. So if we have 7 things, which is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's actually implying 8 notes. So, for example, the first note would be here, the second note would be here, third note, and so on, moving up. So, in the key of C, we'd have C, and then there's a tone between the C and the D, and there's a tone between the D and the E, and there's a tone between, tone, and then I just erased an S. And then there's a semitone between the E and the F. If you look at your piano or your controller, you'll notice there's no black notes between your E and your F. So tone, tone, semitone. And between your F and your G, there should be a tone. Between your G and your A, there should be a tone. Your A and your B should be a tone. And then your B and your Z should be a tone. tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 and then the semitone between your B and C. And it doesn't matter what key you're in, it will work the same way. So in the case of a D, it's a tone, will bring me to my E, and then there's a tone, will bring you to an F sharp. Because you have to go up 2 semitones. So it's not D, E, F, it's D, E, F sharp, and then there's a semitone from the F sharp to the G. There's a tone from your G to your A. And then there's a tone from your A to your B. And then there's a tone between your B and your C sharp. And then finally there's a semitone between your C sharp and your D. So, and this is kind of important if you want to figure out all the different scales. You don't have to be able to play the scale. What I told you already about finding the root note and then checking the major third or the minor third intervals, like the 4 semitones or the 3 semitones, is really all you need to be able to figure out what key it's in. At least for most songs. There are definitely a bunch of situations that might come up, and we're going to talk about them right now. When a song changes key, it can happen. Here's Feeling Good. Okay, well, let's figure out what key this is in. Let's put the piano here. Sounds right. Here's our root note. Okay. Check our 4 semitones up. 1, 2, 3. No, it's not E flat and G. But check our 3 semitones up. It is 3 semitones up, so we're E flat minor. Okay, fine. Okay, listen to this singer that we have recorded here.
You know what I mean.
This guy really needs some. Yeah, mute him. Terrible. But he needs some auto tuning. So let's throw it on. Let's put on our auto tuning, and it's a guy. It's me. And we're going to switch it to male. E flat minor. We're going to talk about chromatic later. E flat minor. Put a lot of auto tuning on because he sucks. Here we go.
Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossoms on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn.
Okay, so now what we're going to do, later in the song, ooh, yuck. Well, I had an excuse for that. You notice right about here, oh, there's a key change. And it sounds really bad because, not because I didn't sing it well, not because he didn't sing it well, but because it's not in the right key now, because it's just changed key. Okay, what are we going to do? Well, I could make a new track and copy everything and open up another Antares Autotune, which is just going to eat up our resources. Not very good idea. Well, first let's figure out what key this is. I mean, it really sounds like it just went up a semitone, and it did, but we're going to check anyways. So we're going to just think, okay, we're just going to assume it went up a semitone, but let's just check. We're E flat over here, E flat minor. Yeah, so E minor. Okay, let's throw on our E. Let's go back to our autotuner. We use automation and Pro Tools for a bunch of different things, but a lot of people don't think about it. As a matter of fact, it took me a while before I clicked in on like, oh, why don't I just automate with Antares? It makes so much sense. Like, there was a time I was throwing Antares on multiple tracks just to tune the different key changes in a song, and then throw all my vocals on another track and whatever plugins and so on. But to automate, see where it says auto here, this little button. It's actually, don't be scared of this. Just do it because it's not hard. Okay, we're just gonna click on this. Watch, simple, click, key, click, add, click. It means now we can automate our key, and later we're gonna automate our retune speed. We could even automate our scale if we need to, but for the most part, we're just going to think about, well, for now, let's just do key. Okay, so key, okay. Okay, now that kind of went green. Well, whatever. Now what's going to happen is when we're going to click on our track where it says waveform, go down here, where it says auto evo key. So now our bar here, we can change the key at whatever point we want. So here, we're just gonna see that little E flat up there. Now we went to E minor. Minor stayed the same here. Watch this.
Yeah.
Oh, now that's better because it's in key where how it should be. But lo and behold, guess what's happening over here? Yeah, there's another key change. I'm not going to bother figuring out. You already hopefully know how to figure stuff out. It goes up yet another semitone. And even though the semitone's not hitting till here, the vocals preemptifies the semitone up. So we're going to put our semitone up there again. So here we go. Oops. Okay, so at the beginning of this, if I bypass the autotuner for a moment, I have a minor pitch bend in here, not a big one. That's actually not obvious enough for the purpose of what I want to show. But imagine there's a big pitch bend, and I start low like that, and I'm doing that, right? I'm starting low, stars and you shine, or whatever. But my retune speed is kind of fast because the rest of the time I need to put it on fast. But for just a couple moments in some spots, I don't want as much auto tuning because I want my pitch bend to come through. Right now, my retune speed's on so fast that I'll put it. And it kind of is all over the place now, right? So what I want, now I want to automate my retune speed just for some moments. So for the most part, just say I don't even know. You can really pick. I actually typically keep my retune speed low in general. But let's put it faster for whatever purpose. And then just for this moment, we want to automate that. So now we're going to go back up to here. Pick retune speed. Add it. Okay. Down there, retune speed, just to keep our existing settings. As for this moment, now our retune speed is going to be really quite low, so it's going to be natural for a moment. I want to hit my right note around here, so I'm going to put my retune speed faster on there. So now I kind of have my bend, my low retune speed, and it's going to kick in around there. Okay, so that's automating within Antares Autotune, and just get used to it. Don't be scared of it, just start doing it. It's not too hard. Next on the list, Uh, City of Stars. This is what is interesting because this song is recently kind of popular. And this one might confuse you because this is one of those rare situations that don't happen often in pop music. It's not in either a major or a minor key. Okay, some people might not like me saying that because from one point of view it actually is in a major key, but it's just not in a very obvious major key. Listen. You're going to listen to this and you're going to think, wow, that's so obvious. What are you talking about, Corey? Like, that sticks out like a big fat thumb. And therein lies the problem, because this is not the relative minor to some major. We're going to see, let's figure out what note this is. It's a G sharp, okay?
City of stars, are you shining just for me?
The song, even though some people might say that in this movie where this comes from, the actors aren't professional musicians, the song is written kind of interestingly because this is actually in what's called the Dorian mode. And it has this kind of minor moment at the beginning. And then it quickly changes to a major moment. So, we're going to load up our piano. This, you might think, is our minor. And we even do our check. 3 semitones. And we say, okay, here's our whatever, G sharp minor. And don't get scared of this because this doesn't happen much. It really doesn't happen very often. Like 99 or even more, like 999 songs that you're going to go through, pop songs, what we already talked about is going to work fine. It's just a few situations where the song is written for whatever reason in a different mode, they're called it, and it's not going to work. This is not, it's not this. It's not G sharp minor. Yes, that's a G sharp minor chord, but the key is not G sharp minor because G sharp minor and B major are related. This is the minor, this is a major. The B major key. Okay, let me play the B major key over this.
City of stars, are you shining just for me? City of stars.
I'm just going to let you know this is in F sharp major. This is your Do.
City of stars, are you shining just for me?
And that's where it is. It becomes a little bit more obvious later in the piece. And this isn't something I can really teach you guys right now. It's going to take you time and effort to learn and understand about theory and so on. All you really need to know is it can happen. Not very often, and extremely not very often, but it can happen where what I just told you isn't really going to work because the song is in a weird mode. Or the song could be kind of all over the place, you know? Take, for example, this Amy Winehouse song. Let's see. And here's a general rule. If you're doing something in Amy Winehouse style of music, don't even bother thinking about what key it's in. Because the melody's all over the place. This particular singer isn't actually a singer. Just one of my production students that happen to be in the studio at this moment. And it's a male and just singing this kind of song. But here's an example. So, what we're going to do in this kind of situation is we're going to tune it to chromatic. Chromatic just basically means everything. Because songs like this have a lot of flat notes, weird notes, and too many that automating won't be practical. So, I mean, if you really wanted to get into the nitty-gritty details of tuning, then you would use Melodyne or the graph modes in this program. But for now,
Hand me a swallow and fly. By the time I'm out the door, you're just bent down like Roger Moore. I treated myself like I knew I would.
like this here would be a note not in the key.
Like I knew.
And if I was in A minor, which would be the closest key to the song,
Like I knew I would.
these notes,
Like I knew.
these flat notes, would be washed and forced into a different key. Now, you definitely, if you know, for a song that doesn't have these weird notes, that actually fits nicely into a major or minor, you want to put the autotuner into that. You don't want to leave your autotuner chromatic all the time, because it really does sound a bit fresher and a bit brighter and a bit nicer if you put in your key, and especially if you're doing, you know, real fake sound on purpose for the purpose of your effect. Putting it in the correct key is really going to help that sound how it should. But here's a situation where we're just wanting to make it sound a bit nicer, and the chromatic will work.
Like I knew.
Because if I put in the minor, it's taking this diminished note
Like I knew.
and flattening it down, and we're not getting the right note. So we leave it in chromatic.
Like I knew. Like I knew.
When we kind of had, and it allows the autotuner to go up to our E flat,
Like I knew I would.
which is nice. But then we run into situations where
Upstairs in bed with my ex is where my buzzer goes.
that notes that they're not sung close enough to a good note will actually tune to the wrong note, and a note that's not in the right key. That's the biggest problem with using chromatic. Using chromatic, it's very possible the tuner is going to put it into the wrong note.
This is where my.
Here we go.
This is where my.
In the situation, I'm going to bypass this for a moment.
This is where my.
He was flat to the point that it was registering the wrong note. So what can you do?
This is where my.
Well, you could do a bunch of automating, or
This is where my.
figure out what note's supposed to be.
This is where my.
You can kind of see it's playing around here. Use your keyboard. And we just figure out that's supposed to be an E.
This is where my.
So where
This is where my.
it's supposed to be an E, so I'm just going to highlight it. Control E, separate the region. I kind of overshot it a bit because we'll draw it in later. I'm going to go to Audio Suite, Pitch Shift, Auto Tune, and boink, it comes back up again. And here we can remove everything except for the note that we want that note to be. And decide, okay, we still want it to be. Of course, if I put 100% retune and render it, now I'm just going to pick this one note and force it to an E.
This is where my buzzer. This is where my.
That sounds kind of fake, and we can blend this a bit later, but by the way, I just undid that. I'm just going to bring my retune speed down a lot. Render it again, now listen.
This is where my.
Okay, move that over, move this over. A bit of a crossfade.
This is where my buzzer goes.
I mean, depends on how you feel about that, but
This is where my buzzer.
at least it's the right note.
This is where my buzzer goes.
Compare.
This is where my. This is where my.
See, it's better.
This
Worse?
is where my,
Better.
this is where my buzzer goes.
Okay, so that forcing into a particular note. You know, I've read and I've seen on YouTube people saying, okay, we'll use some programs online to even find out the key of your samples. By the way, I just use Alt to copy this. You can see I held Alt, dragged that over. Great. And now I have another copied. And this is a kick drum sample. Yeah, I could use some program or something to determine what key the sample is in, and then I could try to determine what key my song is in, and then I could calculate the amount of notes that I need to go up or down to make this in the right key, okay? Or I can just use the same technology we used a moment ago and force it to a key. So just say I want it into, I don't know, B flat. Okay, so let's just force this in. I'm going to put this on low instrument, bass instrument. I'm going to remove all this stuff. And I use this all the time. So instead of, I don't actually need to know what key my sample is in. I don't care what key my sample is in. Who cares? I just care what key I want it to be in. Now you can use a pitch shifter and move it up and down, and it might sound quite nice. And some of the reasons why is because when you're moving it up and down with a pitch shifter, it will stretch the pitch or shrink the pitch, and that could help. But let's just try this anyways. I'm going to correct here, render it. Now it's in a B flat. Let me play B flat on the keyboard. Now that is there, where the original was, not in B flat, it was, I don't even know. I don't know, somewhere between C sharp and D. Sorry, somewhere between C and C sharp. Anyway, it's not fully in tune with anything, but this is now in tune with a B flat. And you can do that to a sample. I could just say, I could force this to a tune, to say, I don't know what key my thing's in. But here we go. I told you that this is C sharp. So I'm just going to tune it just to make it even. Make sure it's just dead on a C sharp. Okay. Now I could use that same method to move it down to our B flat. But that may or may not have a good quality. You know, it says C sharp. I could just use my audio suite pitch shifter and do like a course. Let's go down from C sharp to B flat, which is 3 semitones. Move it down 3 semitones. Let's move it down to an A. Let's say we're making a song in A. Let's go down 4 semitones. Take time correction off. Because if you leave time correction on, you may as well just do it with your Autotuner. Taking it off, and it's going to stretch this to make it longer. Good, and we can now zoom in to one of these notes, cut this stuff, and then make our nice little sample and use this in our song, our creation. And then this is going to be in, we'll move it down to an A. Okay, so last thing we'll talk about is this really annoying situation where a song is totally out of tune. And you might think, what? That won't happen. Well, it does. And there's lots of reasons why. Number one, the song could be old. Like, here's one. A Chinese song. I'm playing the piano. It's like close to a C, but yuck. I can't even tell. It's like in between the C and the C sharp. And here's another situation. Here's a beat bought off of one of those beat broker sites. And this is a modern song, recently bought. So why would this be out of tune? They obviously used keyboards and samples. It should be in tune with something. Of course, I haven't even proved it's out of tune yet, so let's just try it. Let's try different notes. I don't know if you can tell, but to me, something's wrong. So why is that out of tune? Well, who knows? Maybe they're playing around with sample rates, or if you have one system with 48 sample rate, other system with 44.1 system, and you're transferring it. This happens all the time. I get it all the time. And they don't even know. These guys are making beats and they're sending them to their singers, their rappers, and then they bring them to my studio, and all of a sudden the rappers don't even know, but it's at a totally different speed and tune than what the beat maker intended, because they've just imported it at the wrong sample rate or at a different sample rate. Point is, if you get these situations with out of tune, the first thing to do is check the original source. It usually means something like that's happened. But just say whatever reason this is legitly out of tune, and we want to, and your client or yourself wants to do your stuff over top of it, and you want to use an autotuner because you want that effect on your voice. So what do? I can tell you that it's close to an F sharp, but it's not an F sharp. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a track. Let's create what am I doing here? Create a new track, mono instrument track. And on my instrument track, I'm going to throw on some kind of sample plugin. Let's just go to expand because it's easy and it's there. We don't need anything too complicated for what we're going to do. Okay. My system, I got to change my outputs. And just pick a really solid, straight lead, like a basic square, saw, whatever. Let's pick a basic square. Okay, I told you an F sharp is the root note that this, at least, is closest to this particular beat at this moment. Again, if this was a problem with the sampling, it probably isn't originally an F sharp. And I can't even imagine. Anyways, I just made this F sharp and made a line all the way through. So now we're going to listen to this. See, my tongue's going to turn green with that tuning. So now I'm going to throw on my Antares Autotuner right underneath expand. Now we have this constant note playing all the time. Let's just put on instrument here. Now we're just going to change the tuning until it sounds like it's in tune. I know that this note's like, we're a little bit flat. So there we go. It sounds better now. You don't have to be perfect. It would be nice if you're perfect, but this is very hard to hear this. But in any case, it's better. So if we were auto-tuning somebody doing something over top of this, and now anytime we use Antares Autotune, we can just set it to somewhere around plus 33 and then just do whatever it is we're going to do normally over here. I don't actually have the person rapping, and I wouldn't even have his permission to use it, but it just so happened that I was recording somebody on this track the other day, and I was like, oh my gosh, is that a tune? And he wanted like some robotic sounds on his voice, so It's not like the scenario doesn't happen. Actually, the scenario does happen, and it happened to me really recently. So I did exactly this. I figured out what key it was closest to, try to find a basic in tune, and then just put on the synthetic, and then from here I just went back to my, and then used this setting plus 3 or whatever it was around here on all the tracks that he wanted to have the robotic sounds applied to his voice, and then put it in the F sharp minor key that it's in. And you'll notice that any notes I do will be tuned correctly. If I did the same thing with this Autotuner bypass, listen. See, it sounds out of tune. So you could even use it if your sample's out of tune or your track's out of tune. I wouldn't create the beat like this. I would put my sample in tune using this in the first place, or like I said, it could be a different reason totally, but I don't know the reason. And in the case of this old song, it's a very similar situation. It was close to like a C, I believe the note was. Let's just do the same thing. Listen to this song. Okay, just get in our heads. And go here, back to our instrument. We're going to go to C major, and we actually have to go to C sharp. And then use something like that, and then tune from this point of view, and then leave this setting on all these. So when it comes to the other, let's just go back here. I'm going to just finalize really quickly here. Well, maybe not so quickly, but I'm going to go back to the first song we worked on.
Talking loud, not saying much.
These other settings we're going to leave for a different video, and I'm sure you can find them all over the internet anyways. You know, humanize and retune speed or whatever.
Talking loud.
Everybody has their own point of view.
I'm criticized.
Humanize kicks in after a amount of time. For example, if you're finding your retune speed is affecting notes that are held for a long time, let's pick one. She's sustaining. You can notice around here when notes being held for a while, and Humanize is at 0, it's sounding robotic. It's okay, shorter notes.
Ricochet. Take your aim.
Sounds quite nice here, but these long notes you're gonna want. See, I'm gonna turn this up now. Now it's releasing the auto tune a little bit when it's holding a long note. And here's a situation where you might want to go back to your automating and really only use a humanize up when the notes are longer, because you can lose
You take your aim.
some of the tuning in
You
here.
take your aim. You take your aim. Fire away. You shoot me down.
I mean, there's a reason why this isn't just permanently up. Sometimes you want it to have a quicker attack, and this is kind of like your attack speed, I suppose. Well, maybe not. It's almost like the opposite of an attack speed. When the notes are how longer, it's going to kind of release it at some point. I personally I keep maybe my humanize at a fairly low number, unless the notes are held.
I am titanium.
And in this case, I'm going back to my automating, going to humanize, adding it. And for these notes,
I am titanium.
and in these situations, I'm going to bring my humanize up.
I am titanium. I am titanium.
And it gives me a little bit more of a human feel and less of a robotic feel during these long notes.
I am titanium.
Okay, well, I just spoke for a long time, and I'm probably going to be editing this for even a longer time, and I was really hoping to get more than one video done today, but obviously not. So, I hope you guys learned something, and I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. I started this whole YouTube idea late in the game, but I do have a lot to offer, and it would be nice, you know, for you guys to come back and see some of the other videos, and I will do my best to make sure they're informative and have lots of great information for you. So thank you, and have an awesome day. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. I sure hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot. If you gained anything out of it, I would greatly appreciate it if you press like on our page. If you want to see more of our videos coming up, please press subscribe.